My Swan Song, Krishnamurti. This piece was dictated by Louis Brawley in mid-February 2007. What I have found of and by myself runs counter to everything anyone has said in any field of human thought. They have misled themselves and misguided everybody. You still fall for all that because if, for instance, you were to change your diet, you would die of starvation. But I want to live forever. Can you keep me alive and healthy the way I have lived for 90 years of my life?
No, but that's all that interests me.
When once it throws out everything that has been put in there by your filthy culture, this body will function in an extraordinarily intelligent way. It can take care of everything. If at any time I accept anything, it is not what the religious people have told me about the way the body functions, but what the medical doctors have found. Yet what they do not know is immense, and they will never know how this body functions. I have never taken any medicine, nor have I ever seen a doctor. All the doctors who have advised me not to live the kind of life I had been living are now dead and gone. There's one exception. Once I had typhoid fever when I lived in Madras. My wife's brother was a top doctor in the general hospital in Madras. The British had a wing in the hospital for themselves, and nobody else was allowed to stay in the rooms in that wing. That year, however, they opened the wing to the general public, so my brother-in-law got me one room in it and another for my family members.
In that room, my wife and grandmother stayed. 3 nurses took care of me, taking turns every 8 hours for a whole month, after which I walked out.
Although I assert that all doctors should be shot, I don't advise others not to see a doctor. I don't know what I will do if I am in a situation where I want to prolong my life a little longer. So I would never tell others not to see a doctor. I brushed aside everything born out of human thought. Everything they told me falsified me. And what you are trying to get, you can never get, because there is nothing to get. What you are is a belief. If you let one belief go, you must replace it with another. Otherwise, you will drop dead. I am telling you, a clinical death will occur. It is not the near-death experience of those near-death scoundrels. So you better go and make money and enjoy the fruits thereof. All those filthy religious people are fooling themselves and fooling everybody, living on the gullibility and credulity of people, making an easy living, selling shoddy pieces of goods, and promising you some goodies that they can never deliver. But you want to believe all that nonsense. It's a reflection on your intelligence that you fall for all that crap to which you are exposed. Nobody's given me the mandate to save you people or save the world. The human species should be wiped out for what it has done to every other species on this planet. It has no place on this planet. It has no place on this planet. If I'm sure of one thing, it is that if it were not for your destructive weapons, you would have been wiped out a long time ago. And you are going to be wiped out because now others have the means to wipe you out. But you are not going to go gracefully without taking every form of life on this planet with you. With minimum means, you can wipe out the maximum power. The body knows what it needs to do to survive. If it does not have the means to survive, it goes gracefully. The only reason for this organism to exist is to give continuity to the human species. Sex is only for reproduction, but you have turned that into a pleasure movement. What else is sex for than reproduction? The humankind appeared on this planet, and it thinks all this has been created for its use. You think you were created for a grander and nobler purpose. The human being is a more despicable thing than all the other forms of life on this planet. You are just an animal, but you are not ready to accept that. You are not more intelligent than the other animals. The native intelligence of the human body is amazing. That is all it needs to survive in any dangerous situation in life. The native intelligence is what you were born with. The intellect is acquired from what they teach you. So you don't have any words or phrases or even experiences which you can call your own. You have to use that knowledge that has been put in there in order to experience anything. There is nothing to your love. If you don't get what you want, what happens to your I love you, darling, dearie, honey bunch, schnooky putsie, sugar britches, petite shoe, sugar britches, petite shoe, sugar booger? If you don't get what you want out of all that, what happens to your lovey, dovey? The only test for me is money. How free you are with your money. I don't mean how wasteful you are with your money. I have nothing to lose if the whole thing is wiped out. I have nothing to gain if it remains the same. The only relationship you have with anybody in this world is what do I get out of it?
That's all you care about. Other than that, there is nothing to it.
You all fool yourselves thinking that you are going to get something by hanging around me.
You're not going to get a thing because there's no need to get anything from anybody.
You can't fit me into any religious frame. I don't need to fool people and thrive on their gullibility and credulity.
Why should I? I'm telling you, you will lose everything. You are not going to get anything from anybody.
There is no need for me to say you're not going to get what you want from anyone else either. That you will find out by yourself. But that you can't do either by your own effort or by your volition or by anything you do or do not do. That is not something that happens in the field of cause and effect. Everything was thrown out of my system. I don't know how I was thrown off the merry-go-round. I went round and round and round. I was lucky. Look, not in the sense that when you go to a gambling place and win, if you're lucky, they put me on a merry-go-round. I went on and on and on. I didn't have the guts to jump off. I was just thrown off like an animal thrown from the top of a tree. The animal just gets up and runs off. Fear makes your body stiff, and then you will certainly break your limbs. My body is never stiff. The demand for permanence, permanent relationships, permanent happiness, and permanent bliss in any field and in any area of human existence is the cause of human misery. There is nothing to permanence, so don't be a damn fool. Go and make money. That's the only thing that impresses me. Cash on the barrel. I told my grandparents this even as a little boy. I am in perfect harmony with this world, exactly the way it is. I will never break the laws, no matter how ridiculous the laws are. I told Bertrand Russell, the H-bomb is an extension of your policeman. Are you willing to do away with the policeman? You have to draw the line somewhere, he said. I just said goodbye and walked out. There is no need to change this world at all, and there is no need to change yourself either. I am not a sociable man, yet I am not anti-social. What I am trying to emphasize over and over again is that what has happened to me has nothing to do with the spiritual nonsense they preach. It doesn't have even a teeny-weeny bit of spiritual content. It is a physical phenomenon, pure and simple. Once this body is freed from the stranglehold of whatever is put in there, either by spiritual teachers or secular teachers or by those scientists and medical technology, it functions in a very efficient way. At the time I was born, when my mother introduced herself to me as, I am your mommy, and hugged me and kissed me, I apparently kicked her. And she died in 7 days after I was born. When they put me into the frame of an enlightened man, they said that the mother of such a child can never have any more children or sex and that she would die. Actually, she died of puerperal fever, but not because she gave birth to an enlightened man. They have to put such people into that frame of giving birth to an enlightened man. An enlightened man can never have sex because he cannot reproduce another one like him. Once an interviewer on television asked me, "Can't we take your sperm and make a woman pregnant?" I answered, "There is no sperm anymore." And Mai stopped having her periods when she was 21 after whatever had happened to her. She was a nice lady. She was a genuine article. Your birth is not in your hands. You're here because your parents had sex. But I can say now that your death is in your hands. There is no meaning and no purpose to suffering. If a body is lucky enough to stumble into its natural way of functioning, it happens not through your effort, not through your volition. It just happens, but not by what you do or do not do. It is not even a happening within the field of cause and effect. A causal is the most appropriate word for it because a happening can never be outside the field of cause and effect. If it stumbles into this of and by itself, such a body will be so unique that it will be unparalleled in this world and will function in an extraordinary way. Such a body has never existed before on this planet. You don't have to take my word for it. Be miserable and die in your misery. And such a man will be more spiritual than all the other claimants, but not in the ordinary sense of spirituals. That nonsense must never be used. Spirit is only the breath as in he breathed his last. The word has nothing to do with the spiritual crap. The end, the end. Valacrocia, February 2007.